You are the bell within a bell that tolls to tell life's essence, and without a sound, over any distance, breaks the spell of silence.
Welcome. Cometh the style of blesseth. Jeg haiti Maxine Gaudio, and jeg cutleth Max. Jeg heima I Reykjavik, og jeg elsker Iceland. Jeg elsker Iceland. Jeg atleida Islandsku, but as you can hear, that mjög erfitt. Og svo, please stay with me because we're going to do this in English and you're going to love it, I hope. Really. We're doing some interesting interviews now, and the idea that I have is to show you this is an Icelander, this is an Icelander, this is an Icelander. These are really what you are, and I want you to let me show you yourself as Icelanders through my eyes, because, you know, I say it each time on each show. I'm Bandaríkin, I'm you know, I'm just out of here, but I love it here. And you were born here, but I chose to come and live here. And I chose to live in here because it's beautiful, and perhaps you'll learn more about yourself, and you'll learn the greatness of yourself and of Iceland. And I'm just ready to go, and I hope you're with me. I'm going to talk today, I don't know, maybe I should remind you, perhaps some of you have read my book, which is in Icelandic and in English. It's called Journey to the Center of the Self, and it's very light and easy reading, but it has a lot to do with what I'm going to speak here today, because my goal really is to make changes in each individual, and that then changes your nation. So it's how are you to change your nation? It's up to you to change your nation. You must be, I think it was Gandhi who said, you must be the change you want to see in the world, because we create this in ourselves, we create it in the world. I don't want to get too serious, but I think it was Jung who talked about this, the collective unconscious, and the collective unconscious has a lot to do with if we're thinking in anger, if we're thinking in fear, if we're against other people, if we don't feel confident about ourselves, if we're angry about our childhood, and we go over this and over this, what begins to happen is it collects. This energy, I think I spoke last week, if you caught that show, about frequency. Frequency and a lot of your attitude and how that matters, because it gathers itself together and it goes like the wind. It goes like all that negative energy going out eventually creates crashes, it creates war, it creates a lot of negativity. I'm looking to make that change. Why Iceland? I don't know. If you read my book, you'll see I woke up one morning and I was told, go to Iceland. I'm just now figuring out why. I think because I feel Icelandic, because I feel I belong here. Most of my life, I felt I was a citizen of the universe. Finally here, I began to find something that felt like home. But I want to say that nothing will work until you do. You have to do the work, and you have to do it first on yourself. You can't say, oh, I don't like the government. Oh, it was because of my father. Oh, because of my mother. You know, you're putting the blame everywhere. Don't blame anyone, not even yourself. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. I believe it was Maya Angelou that said that. You remember the great poet that's just died this year. If, you know, make the change in yourself. It's like every day there's no reason why you can't walk out in the street and say to people, good morning, how are you? Have a good day. Try to be the rainbow in someone's cloud. You know, most people are walking around with some big cloud. There's something so serious that in a year or a day or a week, it won't seem important anymore. Really. So I ask you seriously to think about that, about what will it take to make change in your country? What will it make to change the world? And doesn't that involve you? Aren't you yourself a part of that world that I'm talking about making change in? So let's first start with ourselves. I do it each day myself. It's not as though I'm out of the loop in that way. It's not as though I'm asking you to do something that I myself don't do each and pretty much every day. It's like, why do I feel like this? Why should I be angry? I think it's very important to have some kind of thought pattern that's positive. And it's also very important to have imagination. So my interview today will have a lot to do with imagination. And I have a favorite in my life. There are very few people that I ever looked up to. They were not movie stars like most Americans. They were not sports people. But it was Albert Einstein that was one of my favorites, and Gandhi. So, you know, you have an idea of what kind of philosophy and fantasy I'm coming from. I come from a lot of fantasy in myself. And I urge you to think about that yourself. Start laughing at yourself a little bit. Nothing is that serious. You think it's so dark and so difficult. And in some parts of the world, it is so dark and so difficult. One of the beginnings of making that kind of change is to start. I'll tell you what I do. It's a funny little trick. I don't remember where I heard it. But when I wake up in the morning, somewhere around the first thing, I just smile. It's funny. It's funny when I think of it now, but I wake up and, you know, I realize I'm awake, which is not always so easy. But the first thing I think to do is to smile. Because when you do this, all your cells are starting to smile. Now I'm putting out positive energy. I think if all of you did that just for a moment in the morning, if you just smiled and let it run through your body, you're going to start making changes in the world. It's my dear friend, I wish, Albert Einstein, that said, the true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. So that is to say that what the mind conceives and believes, it achieves. We need to change our nation. We need to change ourselves. I'm not beating you with a whip saying you must change, you must change. Just make these little things. Stop complaining so much and do something. Wake up and do something that can make a difference in your life. When you change it in your life, of course you change it in your children's life, your wife's life, your girlfriend's life, your boyfriend's life. You just start to make change. And your neighbors say, good morning, how are you? It's not such a big stretch. I'm broadcasting today from the country outside of Reykjavik. And here I find it very much like that. This is probably how I came to love Iceland so much, because of the countryside. There's nothing like it that I've ever seen in the world, and I've seen most of the world. So just a thought. I'm going to interview today a very wonderful woman that I met last year, and I spoke to her for some time last year in her wonderful place. She's a glass maker who then went ahead and opened a coffee shop and a wonderful cake maker. But the point was, as she will tell you, is that when the Kripa came and when things got difficult and when things got difficult in the family, instead of sitting down, I'm sure she had her days of crying and, you know, knocking her head against the wall like everybody else. But the main thing was her imagination, what she could do, what she could take from herself, how she could change her circumstance. And now she's just grown and grown and grown in all of that because it's her passion. So I introduce to you now Dagny Magnusdóttir. Dagny, how are you?
I'm so fine today.
I'm
every day.
This is perfect, isn't it? I want to ask you, who are you more like, your mother or your father?
I don't think I'm like
Any of?
either of them. But if I think you have something from both of your parents.
Of course you do.
Yeah. But I think I have more from my grandmothers.
This is very Icelandic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's because I think if you see my mom and dad, they're very dark and they're very brown eyes and very tall. I'm not like that. But in the inspiration, I have it more from my grandmothers, because when I was a child, I was so lucky. One of my grandmas, my grandfather lived here, and the other one in the country, or in a farm. And I was born between sisters and brothers from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be always with little cousins with my grandmother. So I was the only child who wake up very early in the morning, and my grandmother did that also. So my best unique time since I was a child was sitting with my grandmothers, knitting and baking and doing these things. So I think that was the start. Because of my childhood, this was the best moments, I think. But if I'm thinking all over, it was always good, but this was the best. This was my unique time.
So in some way, this is what brought you to where you are now.
I think so. And I feel like they are always with me.
Who do you feel was emotionally unavailable to you? Not maybe because they didn't love you, but because they were too busy, they were doing other kinds of things. Father, mother?
Yeah, no. I think it's just, when I was a child, I was like a butterfly.
I understand.
And my mom and my dad, they always said, she is just like that, and she's meant to be like that. And I was always allowed to be myself. Always.
So are you saying to me that both your parents were emotionally there for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm sure.
this is great.
And I feel like
Grandfather?
Yeah, yeah.
Very unique.
Yeah.
This is very unique. And when you married, who is your husband like?
He's just like I want him to be.
Of course he's just like you. Of course he is.
Yeah.
But does
like
he
that.
resemble anybody in your family in his way? Is he more like your grandmother, your grandfather, your mother, your father? You're not sure.
No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But maybe he's a little bit like them, because we were very young when we started to be together. I was only 15 years old. So he has always been my soulmate and my best friend. And
The best friend is the best part of it.
yeah. And he understands everything I need to do, I
Yes.
want to do. And he understands.
And he
my
supports you in that.
passion. Always.
So the word I like here is passion. Anybody that knows me knows that everything has got to be a little bit passionate. Because this is what, to me, makes life really happen, no?
I think if you can always be yourself,
Yes.
and you have this feeling inside of you, you're not doing anything wrong, and you always think what you are doing, you do it right. Because if you have passion inside of you, and you can always live with your passion, and look for the right things, and always look for the good things, you're always thinking about good things, you know?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And then good things come to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I'm so lucky that even if you have bad things, I don't think about them, you know?
Are they really bad things, or are they things that happen that teach you something?
I think it's more like that.
I think so.
Yeah, because if something bad happens, it is to make so you can turn it to the right way.
Exactly. So that you can learn from that, and from that you can put it to something positive. So how did you come from making glass to making this whole beautiful place?
It was about 98 and 2000. I was learning in clay. I was doing a lot of clay, but then I had to go to a surgery for my hands, and I wasn't strong enough to make the clay, and I was trying to do it more because I had been working with clay for 10 years. So then I started in the glass, and I didn't think it was enough, creative. And 3-4 years, I saw I couldn't do any more clay. So my doctor said, you have to stop it because it isn't good for your hands. So I cried all the way home. And when I came home, I said, oh, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start in a class because it isn't as difficult as it plays.
So you see what I'm saying? Yes, but this difficulty that seems so awful pushed you to something even better.
And if you close one door,
another opens.
Yeah, always. But your mind has to be open for it, you know. And all my old things I was using in the clay, like all my crochet patterns and things.
Yes.
Now I just use them in glass because I love to work with old time and new time. And if you do it, you are creating the old things in another thing, you know.
So in some way, you are keeping the past of Iceland and bringing it into the present.
Yeah.
I love this because I love the old Iceland, but we do have to progress for sure. But so what do you feel when you're doing that, when you're baking your cakes, when you're just so giving of everything to people? What do you feel when you are, I talk to you and I know that you work really hard all the time, and I've talked to you at times when you haven't slept, you haven't anything, but you're bright and there, and you always say to me, I love what I do. So talk to me a little bit about that. How do you feel when you're doing the thing that you love the most?
I think I love most of the things I do because I just do things that I love.
So what do you feel when you're doing what you love?
I feel so blessed because I think I'm so lucky every day because every day I'm doing something that I love and I feel so good inside of myself. And if you feel like that, I believe I can give it to other people.
Yes.
Because
So do you feel as though you're kind of in a zone, like you're a little bit high when you're doing things? I noticed once you had some burns on your arms. You said you didn't even feel them.
No, I don't feel that.
Right,
I'm
because
always like that, you know.
well, because you're somewhere else.
Yeah, because I think when you're working with your passion every day,
Yes. Yes. Tell me.
you wake up in the morning and you say, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be alive today and I'm going to do something very special today. And if you do always the best of the day you can, and it's not because other people want you to do it, it's because you want to do it by yourself.
So let me ask you this. What would you say to people who have those pessimistic ideas, those down ideas about everything? This isn't working and that's not working and I'm not getting along here and I don't feel happy with this and the country should change and the people should change. And nobody's thinking, you know, I gotta change.
If you think it's something wrong with everyone around you,
Yes.
you have to look in your own
Yes, you do.
If you're always thinking negative, and if you're always doing something that is boring because other people want you to, I don't know how to say it, but if you're doing something that isn't good for you, then don't be there. Don't be in this
Exactly.
place.
Don't be there.
No, but you have to change yourself because what I'm doing here is I had a new opportunity when the crash was.
That's what I want you to talk about.
Yeah.
When the crash happened, you know, a lot of people felt it's
My
over,
husband-
it's finished.
Like my husband, he lost his job, and then I thought, okay, now I can do my dream.
Yes.
Because this has been my dream for many, many, many years, since I was a child, I think so. So now I have time to do something new. He can be with me, we can do this together, and because he always believes what I do is the best thing.
This is lovely. It's lovely.
He does. So then we opened this glass factory 4 years ago, and I haven't been working with this if I didn't have him with me, you know, because I can't go and get my glass. He does. And 1.5 years ago, when I wanted to get my dream all through, you know, and open this little restaurant, then we just take a spontaneous It was just a spontaneous idea.
Yes.
Okay, we can maybe have this. Shall we do it? The day after.
Spontaneous.
Yeah, we started. And this was done on 6 weeks.
Amazing.
And most of the things.
Just
we have.
amazing.
And when you live in a town like this, there are so good people here. And if they know you're doing something special, they know you're getting your dream come through, you know.
They support you.
Everyone. And there are a lot of people who came here, helping us painting, helping us making these chairs, and getting frames and pictures and anything. And they said, please, I was going to throw this away. I know you're going to make it a new life. And it was for me like having gold.
So would you say that you then set the example of what you can do when something like the Krepa happens and everything looks very dark? You can do something.
Always.
By using your imagination.
Yeah, and let it flow, you know. Because, and if you have people around you who are maybe thinking a little bit same as you do, it isn't as difficult if you're just having people around you who are thinking negative, you know.
You're very different.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in many parts of the world, people have nothing. And I still believe they can make something.
Yeah, because you always have to think about the things you have and what you can do, but not about the things you can't and you can't have.
I agree with you.
Because if you are satisfied in yourself, everything is going to be better.
I think so. Definitely think so.
And that's why I think I'm the luckiest woman in the world.
Well, I think I'm pretty lucky too, see, so it works.
And I always believe what I'm doing is right, because I never try to be another person than I am.
Right.
I'm just like this.
But you're very passionate about what you do. Do you feel connected to other people?
No, not so much.
Where do you feel your connection? To what? Does it come from outside of you? Does it come from...
No, I just feel it somewhere inside, I think. It is just inside of me. But I feel very good when people are, you know, inspired around me, and I don't know how to say it, but I'm always so thankful for being who I am. Always.
That's great.
And I'm always so thankful for being here. I'm not afraid to die, or I'm not afraid to do, you know, something is going to happen to me, because every time something happens, it's just a lesson for you.
So I agree with you, but let's say that there were bombs dropping here and things were terrible and there was very little food and people were very afraid. What would you do? Or what would you advise to be done?
I would try to do the best thing I could of this situation.
Yes.
I don't know what I have to do, but I know if something terrible happens to you and in your area, and we always have to stick together the first time.
Exactly.
And I think, like in this town, people stick together.
This is the country.
Yeah. And when people are saying, oh, you're so crazy doing this, and you live in Thorlaksen, you know, don't even imagination it's going to work. But here has come a lot of people. I think it has been about 30,000 people since I opened.
Really?
And that's not because I'm doing bad food, you know.
No, it's not, for sure. And you're thinking of expanding, are you not? You're thinking of opening another place?
Never.
Okay.
It's always going to be small like this, because if you have it in your heart, I'm so scared about if I will make this bigger, I will...
But would you do it someplace else also?
No, I don't think.
You'd always keep it just here.
Now I think I'm going to keep it here. But you don't know what happens.
No, you don't.
Maybe if you say after 2 or 3 years, no one is coming, then it's no problem for me to go somewhere else.
Believe me, I never thought I'd be in Iceland. It's the last place I ever thought I'd be.
Yeah. But you always have to think about living now not what you're going to do tomorrow
Exactly.
or the next day. You know.
Be in the moment.
I live in the moment.
Right.
Every day. Every day.
So it's be in the moment, change yourself, extend this out to other people doing the same. It begins to grow exponentially.
And if you just get it, it's only one person who thinks like you.
Yes.
We can grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
By being satisfied for ourselves, you know.
You know, most people are not satisfied.
No, but you have to try inside of you, because it's nothing. No one can say just read this book; it's going to be okay.
Yeah, right. Of course.
You know.
No, but it has to hit something inside of you. That's a small spark, perhaps.
Yeah, and if you meet a person, and you can just give her 10% of you, you know, then it works.
It's a lot.
I always think that.
I always think that too. I always think that if you keep your energy right and you keep your energy high all the time, wherever you walk, wherever you go, whoever you encounter, it doesn't matter who it is or what it is. It could be the grass, it could be the trees. You're influencing it and it's influencing you.
Always. And that's what, like...
So nice to talk to someone who agrees with me.
yeah, that's right. Because like here, you go working to work or you go to a store and always, oh, hi, how are you today? All of the people matters to each other here. And that's why I live here.
So you think it's different here than being in the city?
Yeah. I live in the city.
And?
I love it more here. Yeah. It's 25 years since we moved here, and we were going to stay here for 1 year, but we're still here. I was born
It's so
here.
peaceful here.
It is, and I was born here, but I moved away when I was 2 years old, and 25 years since. It's 25 years now, in October since we moved here, and this was a blessing.
It's a big blessing, and you're a big blessing. So.
And I wasn't able to do this, but just because I have so good friends here.
But for me, when I met you, I thought to myself exactly this. If everybody in their own way took what was not working for them so well and did what you do, found their passion and began to get into that zone and produce from that place, the world would change, the country would change, the town would change, everything would begin to change.
It would.
Because the frequency would change, the vibration of everything would change.
And everything, you can change everything if you just be yourself. Don't try to be like everyone else. Just be yourself.
It's very difficult for some people to do.
I know it is, but if you try, if you wake up in the morning and you just try, and you do your best. And if it's not going to be your best day, then you just try tomorrow. And the next day. You don't have to do it today.
Right.
But if you do it today, you're blessed. If you do it today. But
well, do you think that maybe you should think about if you only have today, what if it was only today and suddenly there is no tomorrow? See, now you feel you've done the most today. You don't know about tomorrow.
I don't know.
Right.
And I can't change the yesterday, you know.
No, you can only learn from yesterday.
And live for today and do the best of the day tomorrow, you know.
I want to thank you so much for this. It's been such a pleasure. I always tell you that, but I've really enjoyed myself. And I've been really enjoying myself being with you. And I hope the same applies to you. And that you get some small modicum, a little piece of something that just hits you and you say, aha, yes, okay, let me try that. So if you have any questions or you have opinions, I'm sure you'll have opinions. After all, please feel free to contact me at www.maxinegaudio.com, or you can see me on Facebook. Until then, Schaumst in 20Magnu.